Michael Anton says he's come around to the paleocon perspective on immigration, the paleocon perspective on trade, and the paleocon perspective on armed foreign interventions. So to me, those are the three most important political issues in the United States today. And so Michael Anton has shifted from the neoconservative or the conservative Inc. position to the position of the paleocons on the three most important political issues of the day. So it seems to me everything after that is just secondary by definition. Like, what's more important than immigration policy? To me, that's the most important issue. Then second most important issue, trade policy. So Anton's come around to the paleocon position on trade. And then Anton's come around to the paleocon position on great reluctance for armed intervention overseas. So he then goes into great length about his differences with the paleocons over Abraham Lincoln and the importance of the Declaration of Independence and where were the founders wrong. And it just seems so bizarre to spend 95% of these very lengthy and often repetitive essays charging the paleocons with having the incorrect position with regard to the Declaration of Independence and the incorrect position with regard to Abraham Lincoln and incorrect positions with regard to the founders. He's writing in 2021. He says that the Republic is in grave danger, that the leftist hordes are at the gates, and the leftist hordes, according to Anton, that they want to do away with everybody on the right. So we're in a time of great extremists. He acknowledges this. He begins his essays by saying we're in a difficult, dangerous time. And he purports that he states at the beginning of his essay that he's writing it to try to bring the right wing together. After that introduction, he then spends most of his space saying that paleocons like this Brian guy, blanking on his
Brian
name.
McClanahan.
Yeah, who may or may not be a paleocon, but that he has the wrong attitude towards the Declaration of Independence. It just seems a world of bizarro. And now my main question for myself is, was Anton always this way? Because I loved Anton's Flight 93 essay. I loved that Anton back in 2016 was leading a cavalcade of intellectuals making the case for Trumpism. But now I'm starting to think maybe Anton hasn't changed. Maybe I've changed. And so maybe he was always in a overly theoretical or bizarre world, highly disconnected from reality. And it's just that when he said a few things that I resonated with, then I had this great esteem for him. So I'm starting to suspect that Anton hasn't changed. I'm concerned that it's just that I've changed because I don't understand. How do you understand this? Anton says he's come around to the paleocon position on these three most important issues, and he wants to unite the right, but then he spends thousands and thousands and thousands of words saying that the paleocons aren't solid on Lincoln and the Declaration of Independence.
Pedro Gonzalez, who I'm sure you're familiar with, he writes for American Greatness, and he's basically a leftist. He admires Leninism. He advocates socialist economics, and he calls himself a post-rightist, but he despises the woke left, and so he wants to essentially emulate the woke left by taking over the administrative state and having a nanny state that promotes a based, if you will, form of socialism. So Anton obviously is not advocating that, but there is this general idea that what has come before on the right is no longer useful. And I think it's to a matter of degrees how a lot of people are rejecting this. You have people who essentially want to become non-modern leftists like Pedro, and then you have people like Anton who are searching for something sort of viable in this age, which is still discernibly more right wing. Anything to say about that, Luke?
Yeah, I'm trying to get into Anton's mindset. I'm a big believer in historicism. So all of us, we operate in a particular historical context, and we are formed by certain contexts, and we are reacting to certain things, and we state things at a certain time and a certain place. So Anton, being someone friendly with the Claremont Institute and with Hillsdale College, comes from institutions that have been feuding with paleocons for 30 years. So that has to explain it, that he comes from institutions that paleocons have a great deal of reservations about, and so he can't help but see the world through this prism. I know when I talk to people from Claremont or from Hillsdale, they
Mhm.
just have a, generally speaking, a visceral loathing for paleocons and for
Yeah.
Paul Gottfried that is beyond anything that I can comprehend. I mean, it's so intense that
Mhm.
I can't make sense of it, and I can't make sense of someone who wants to go to war over differing interpretations of the Declaration of Independence.